Thank you. Hi, Lisa. Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning, or good vibrations, as I should say. I'm Lucie Cave, Chief Content Officer at Bauer Media, and today's session is all about good growth, something I need a bit more of. I thought I was going to have a problem climbing up onto this chair for a second. Trust, kindness, and the importance of rich conversations. So I'll just introduce my panel once again. We've got Harriet Rose here, KISS presenter, Big Breakfast presenter, all-round brilliant presenter. Thank you. Chris Taylor over here, former Love Island contestant, you may recognise him, reality star, and presenter.
Average presenter.
And fabulous presenter.
Average,
no. And he's the presenter of our Love Island spin-off series called Under the Duvet, which we'll be talking about a little bit later on. Alex Baker next to him, who's head of creative strategy for Bauer Media and radio presenter as well. He wears many hats. Now, before we get into this session, though, I want to ask all of you, normally you have to put your phones away, but I want you to get your phones out. You've got your phone already. I want you to get your phones out. Now, it was World Mental Health Day earlier on this week, and Bauer Brands, along with Calm, the charity, joined up to around their initiative called Tell a Mate They're Great. We've got a mental health initiative called Where's Your Head At? And it was all about just texting people, adding people on social media to tell them something nice. So I would like you at the beginning of this session to text someone in your life, tell them something nice, and then at the end of this session, we're going to see who's got any responses and what they've said. I mean, we've done this before, and some of them are quite rude, actually. Some of them have gone, what do you mean? What, is there something wrong with you? What are you texting me that for? So please just take a moment to text someone in your life, neighbour, friend, mum, nan, anyone, tell them something nice. Maybe they've got nice hair. Are you going to do it? No.
We've already done it.
We've done
We've done it to each other. Alex, you texted me last time, but...
Yeah, I'm not texting you again.
No, I know.
Yeah, Alex,
you
you
get
He's
it.
done that 3 times.
I keep ignoring you. Right, okay, so let's crack on. So, Alex, what does good growth mean to you, and how do you think brands can achieve that?
It's a good question, and we talked about this quite a lot over the course of the past few weeks. Chris actually said, yeah, what do we mean by good? What do you mean by good? Is it just like, yeah, good growth, like the numbers are going up? And we're like, no, it's good as in finding more people who authentically believe in your purpose and share your purpose and growing your brand in line with that. You know, and at Bauer, I'm not going to sit here and do a Bauer sell, but our purpose as a group, not just UK, is enriching everyday lives. And that purpose really runs through every single thing that we do. And you see it all the time, you know, when brands really care about their purpose and their vision and their values and their actions and their recruitment policy and everything pulls through, what you see on the front door of that, at the shop front, is something really, really authentic and brilliant. And you also see on the flip side, brands trying to jump on board with trends and things that are happening or social political things, and it falling really flat because they haven't developed the trust and the authenticity they need with an audience to do that. So yeah, growing in an authentic way that's in line with a purpose.
You touched on that word trust. So how do brands achieve trust?
Yeah, good question.
Big question.
I think it's funny because when you do panels and you talk to people from the industry, people think trust in brands is way more of a dark art than it is. You know, the reality is that brands exist, but brands are populated by people. And people talk to people. So actually, the game of trust in brands is the same as it is in your personal life. You know, you want people that share your values, that trust, that believe in what you say. You've got to be consistent. You've got to be honest. You've got to be transparent. All those things. And consistency is a really important one. Having that consistent channel of communication with someone in an authentic tone over time generates trust. You can't generate trust by just saying, "Hello, we're a brand. We exist, and we stand for this." People will see it, people will understand it, but they won't trust it. Trust comes from a completely different place, and trust actually comes from the missing middle, as we call it, which we'll talk about later on. Yeah. The middle of the funnel, basically.
We're not talking about crop tops. Now, Harriet and Chris, obviously as presenters, trust and building relationships and kind of building a community with your audience is really important. There's no better example than Under the Duvet, which is our sort of spin-off Love Island series.
There we are.
Behind you. So Chris, for those people in the room, hands up anyone who watched Love Island first of all. Oh, there's a few.
Okay.
Admit it.
This is going to
Come
take some
on,
explaining.
calm down.
So, Chris, for those in the room, so that people have watched Love Island. Most people know what Love Island is, but what is under the duvet?
So I'm trying to think of a different way of explaining this.
Because he keeps using my explanation.
It's the third time I'm explaining it now. So there wasn't many people that actually watched Love Island. So I imagine there's less people that watch After Sun.
Who watches After Sun?
1, 2.
Okay.
Legend.
Super fans.
Right, we might have to go straight back to basics here. Essentially, there's Love Island and obviously all the contestants. They come off the show. We bring them in for a nice little interview. It's lovely. We had a good time. We make some jokes. But we do kind of like both sides of it because as you know, if you watch Love Island, they don't really show the full spectrum of everyone's character and their personality, and some of them, they get done a little bit dirty in the media. We have them on, we have a nice little chat with them, make some jokes, and we tell people both sides of the story so they get to know more about, the people that they've seen on TV on a one-to-one level. And we address the things that may not have been addressed from the villa, which can be left, unsaid, and it can cause them issues in the media. So it's a good balance of fun and seriousness.
And it's even more reality than reality TV, I think.
Every time.
Very
You
good.
do me every time.
That just came into my head as well.
So,
Iconic.
what is who's been your favourite guest in this series and why? You might have to put a bit
I'm going to have to
context
explain the whole
around
thing.
this.
Basically, there was a girl on this season called Coco who was copping off with a guy called Andrew who was with another girl, and it all came out, and he had to say the sentence on live TV, which was, "I licked her tit," or whatever, to the girl that he was seeing. And basically, we had the girl on whose tit was licked, and and we got to talk about that like iconic TV moment, but also the other side of it, which was how much stick she was getting for being quite open about having her tits licked on TV. Balance is what it's about.
Christmas came early for Chris on that episode.
It was my favourite day of the year.
But she was great, and I think we saw it. The nice thing about the show is that obviously we've got the branded element, but we are bringing real sides of the story of real people who are on reality TV, because we all know reality TV is reality TV.
It's not that real.
Whereas we get to hear from Coco, who then has gone on to make a great career for herself. And, loves the fact that she licked her tit or whatever, or had her tit licked.
I whispered to Alex when the session was on before, I was like, we're going to lower the tone in a moment.
I was thinking that when we walked in,
Under the Duvet, our spin-off show has been sponsored by Voxy, and it was a really successful partnership. So when evaluating the sponsorship, they said it exceeded all their expectations. It helped boost brand awareness by 20%. 69% of audiences understood the offering. How, Harriet, and Chris as well, I guess, but how did you go about weaving in the brand messaging and making it seem kind of real rather than it was just something that was tagged on?
Well, I work with a lot of brands because I host on Kiss as well, so we've got partnerships with Disney, and so I'm used to kind of trying to make branding fun, because for me, I'm like very much myself. As you can tell on stage, both me and Chris are as you see us live. Like, we kind of don't filter ourselves. So being able to merge that into a brand message was really fun. Voxy's brand message was endless social media data for free. So that was great for us because it was like, okay, so we're going to bring socials and reality TV together. So we had one game called Stick It On Us, which is where we got fans who were Voxy contract holders to send in questions for our guests every week. So videos of them actually, so it's like adding that element of actually being able to, because from being friends with Chris, I don't think anyone is aware how insane it is for people who come out of Love Island, the love and also sometimes the hate, but also the kind of obsession that people have with these people, celebrities, means that getting that one step closer and having that one-on-one conversation is so exciting for them, and to link that into the brand message was so nice, because it just meant we were bringing the fans actually into the show with us. And as Lucie loves to tell the story of the man who was very attractive, who came on and actually probably got a girlfriend or a boyfriend out of doing our show, because everybody in the YouTube comments was like, oh my God, who's that hot guy?
They were
it was great. And then we did another, which was reading tweets about the guests that people had tweeted in. And again, for us, it was about seamlessly linking in the brand message, which was endless social media data, without it feeling like we're shoving that down people's throats. It just felt very natural, it felt very fun, and you've still got the cheeky element on the side, which is kind of, I think, when you hire people like me and Chris, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And we both kind of do that on our social media as well, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's about being authentic, isn't it? And, you know, we talked about this the other day when you're working with brands. What I like to do when I'm working with brands is try and advertise without advertising, really. You don't have to bore the life out of people with scripts and spiel about a business to get a point across. You can do it in an authentic way that fits in with your audience and also fits in with what their goals are and what
And
they're
some
trying
of
to
your
achieve.
examples are behind us now on screen.
That's actually me doing the splits.
Oh, look,
as well.
that's me commenting.
That's a full split.
I'm a good friend.
In a church.
Is that a legit full split? Can you actually do the split?
No,
No,
it
that's-
was a body double.
was it?
But
I was impressed.
I had a stunt
Sorry
double.
to ruin the illusion,
If my
guys.
arse looked like that, I'd be getting it out more often.
You get it out all the time.
Well, not as much.
So, but
as
how
I
do
could.
you go about? That's the almonds one then. So, how do you go about working with brands?
That's my
And do you
fave.
say no to some brands?
Yeah, you have to. I've said no to a fair few brands. If they want me to do something that doesn't fit in with what I do, I just say no to it. I don't really care how much money it is either. I've said no to like gambling companies before because it doesn't really fit my values. I don't want people to fall into a state of financial despair. I'm all right with booze though. That's fine because like, you know, everyone drinks. Let's face it. But yeah, I mean. That one in particular, they gave me a brief. I found a way to make it weird,
So, what was that almonds?
and I achieved it.
That's his
Almonds.
tagline. They
That
gave
was
me a
like, no,
brief.
that's literally, yeah, almonds as in the nut. Like, it's not even a brand, it's just a
So
nut.
getting people to eat nuts.
Any type
Who
of
knew
almond
that
nut.
almonds had a PR team?
And you
Yeah.
said you and you said you looked at it and you didn't even know what it.
Basically, it's my favourite advert because I love watching Chris's stuff, not only because I'm his friend, but also because it genuinely takes me away from whatever it is he's trying to sell me. And I genuinely did go and buy some almonds after watching this
Can you
video.
tell them that? 'Cause they
No,
pay
I
all
don't want
right.
to help you out that much. I want to make some money too.
Like a commission structure.
Yeah.
You know, you won't admit it, but actually, I spent a lot of time, like weird amount of time, excuse me, watching your videos online.
Yeah.
And
You shouldn't admit that. I think.
sort of captivating by the whole thing, and it's amazing actually how your ad content is completely indistinguishable from other, and you know, in the influencer space, and no offense to any influencer agencies that might be here, that is actually not that common.
No.
You know, in radio and in mags and online content, like branded content, we've been doing that for years. You know, commercial radio exists because of partners and the way we can interweave, you know, brands, whether that's Disney on Kiss Breakfast or whatever it might be, into our output. But in the online space, where you've got people who are essentially independent traders, who haven't got a brand filter and everything else, they're just doing it themselves, some of the content you see is poor.
Yeah.
You know, and it really, completely inauthentic, completely different tone of voice, promoting products they don't know anything about or aren't in line with their values. We see so much of that, and it's why trust in influencers in the social space over the years has been so massively eroded, which is good for people that do it really well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but bad for the market, you know?
Yeah. I remember a booze brand come to me once. They were like, we want you to do a video. I sent them 4 ideas, one after the other type thing. They come back and they were like, no, we just want you to do like a chilled Swedish vibe type. I was like, I don't do that. Why would you even ask me to do that? It would make no sense for my audience. They wouldn't resonate with it. They'd be like, what's this? You've clearly just been paid to do that and that's why you're doing it. So I
It
didn't
is
do it.
odd when brands come to you when you're not the right person for the brand. But that's why it's good that you can turn it down.
Yeah.
No.
But it's important to do that as well.
But it
Yeah,
works
it is.
both ways, right? Trust works both ways. You've got trust with your audience, the audience trusts you, but the brand that you're working with has to trust you to get
Exactly.
it right
And-
as well. If they try and make you do it their way, the whole
Then
thing
it doesn't
falls
work.
flat.
And
It's almost
the
like,
same,
what's
yeah.
the point hiring a content creator
Yeah,
if you're going to force
Just
them
do
to
an
do
ad.
something? Like, yeah.
just run an ad.
Yeah.
And a good example of that is there's the work you mentioned Disney Plus, Harriet, but do you want to talk about that in terms of the stuff that you did around the launch of the Kardashians? Oh,
There
and
she
we've got
is.
a bit of Brad Pitt there as well. We'll talk about him in a minute.
That's my best friend Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
So I work on Kiss Breakfast and I do a lot of brand partnerships. I'm basically the content presenter for the whole of Bauer. I sort of do a lot of content for across the board. And we did a series with Disney Plus where I went and lived as a Kardashian for a week in Los Angeles.
That must have been awful.
It was
for you.
horrible. I hate my job. But it was really fun for me because, again, I don't know if you know much about Disney Plus, but obviously Disney is a very wholesome brand. They wanted to bring it to the masses. They've got naughty shows on there. You know, they've got things like American Horror Stories. They've got the Kardashians. They've got different kinds of shows. So they wanted to start to make people realise that it's not just Snow White. It's not just Cinderella. It is a whole mass of content.
Although they're all bangers.
Absolutely great films. Can't wait for The Little Mermaid. But this was a kind of way of getting people who might not watch the Kardashians to maybe be interested in watching it. So I went out to LA and I was myself, which is sort of a bit like Chris, very, very weird, very, very odd, but kind of to sit at home and watch somebody very normal go and live as a Kardashian. So I was doing Pilates, I was driving a Ferrari, I was very badly mad, and I actually got screamed at and the middle finger given to me by a 78-year-old woman. Which I think...
Were you running her over?
Because I was going so slowly. She was behind me going, "Kah, kah." They had to cut it out of the video because she told me to F off. Anyway, it was that kind of element of saying, right, well, how do we get someone who's never watched the Kardashians to be like, oh my God, this actually could be quite a fun show to watch. Why don't we send this weird girl to LA and make her do stuff like she's a Kardashian, and kind of, it really weirdly resonated with people. The amount of comments that we got and the amount of engagement we got naturally, not even with spend behind it, was bonkers. And it was because I think we just were completely authentic.
Yeah.
And we kind of wanted to sell a show. Because I'd not watched the previous Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I know. I know.
I can't believe you just admitted that.
I know, I'm really embarrassed. But then I previewed the Kardashians, which is before I went, and I was like, oh my God, I love this show. So me working on it, I genuinely was like, this is really exciting, this is really cool, I actually genuinely really want to be here doing this. I think that makes a huge difference. Like what Chris was saying, if you don't have authentic connection with the brand that you're working with, there's no point.
And let's talk about Brad Pitt. So
let's talk about Brad Pitt.
So this was a partnership with Bullet Train, the movie, which is one of the best movies I've seen in a long time.
And I told him that myself.
And so, but that was a partnership with Kiss again and some of our other Bauer brands, but you went and interviewed him as part of that, and he loved you, didn't he?
He did.
You best friends?
Yes.
He
likes my tattoos. He's got a lot of tattoos, by the way. I don't know if anyone knows this, but he had his arms out and I was like, Brad, I didn't know you had tattoos. And then I was like, I'm not your friend, I've just realised, so why would I know that?
But you are now. It's definitely worth a watch, that video on YouTube.
It's very good. But we did have a fun, the tour was amazing. Again, it was like, we were trying to sell the product of Bullet Train, which, by the way, genuinely is one of the best films I've seen this year. So if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Very, very gory, though. And alongside that, we took a train around the UK and we played a game called The Quiz That Gets Quicker, which is something you do on The Breakfast Show in different random people's households so they could win a trip to Japan. And we kind of tied it all in then with the interview with Brad, Brian Tyree Henry and Aaron Taylor-Johnson, which was really, really fun.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I guess that sort of authenticity and that trust that you build with your with your audience and the sort of fun side then allows brands like Kiss and some of our other brands to do sort of more sort of social purpose work and partnerships and campaigns. So Kiss has recently partnered with the Rio Ferdinand Foundation, thanks to an intro from you, Lisa, to raise awareness around sort of young people getting into jobs and getting more meaningful careers. So we've partnered with them around a campaign called Not Boxed, and are also working with Warner Music about getting people into the music industry. So there's lots of kind of that sort of social purpose side of things that work when you have built that sort of trust and that relationship as well. Now, Alex, as our resident strategist, why do you think these sort of campaigns have been so effective and to connect with their audiences?
Well, I think there's two reasons. I think the first reason is these guys, you know, like legitimately, I'm not just blowing smoke. Like, and we hire, as a business, we hire presenters who are authentic. You know, we don't hire presenters who are kind of fit into any particular mould. We hire presenters that we know are going to connect with our audiences. And they can come on air and be completely themselves, and whatever they're delivering, we know it will resonate. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the way we're set up, you know, the fact that we've got these amazing publishing brands, we've got these amazing radio stations, digital content, that it's built around distinct audiences. You know, I use this phrase quite liberally, but like we're the antithesis of homogeny at Bauer. You know, we're completely against it.
Run that by me again.
Sometimes it falls out wrong. Antithesis of homogeny.
Nice.
Put me on the spot.
That's my band name.
Glad you got that in there.
Yeah, it's like an indie rock band.
Yeah.
But you know, we don't create brands that are like broad brush. You know, like one of the ones that always springs to mind is Mother and Baby. You know, Mother and Baby as a brand, you would never launch if your only intention was to create like a big, high-reaching brand.
Yeah.
You know, Mother and Baby is a brand that's only going to be interested for half the population, and again a niche amongst that half, and then niche down, and then only for a short period of time, if ever, in their lives. Do you know what I mean? So you just never launch that brand if you're only interested in reach and scale. The reason we launched that brand is because for the people that need it, it is the Bible, you know. And the Mother and Baby Awards that we do every year, the products that get featured in the Mother and Baby Awards, their sales go up by like 80%. It's ridiculous, you know, because it is the Bible if you're that, you know, if you're a mother with a baby. Similarly, you know, like brands like Planet Rock and Kerrang, brands that, you know, we were talking, the Fireside chat before was interesting to hear because reaching a sort of not necessarily minority groups, but certainly niche audiences. Kerrang, you'd never have Kerrang Radio as a brand, which is one of the brands that I present on, if you just wanted massive scale. You know, we play death metal in the day, you know, you know, and it's tremendously good fun, and the people that listen to it absolutely love it and are completely loyal to it. But you wouldn't do that if you just wanted millions and millions and millions of reach every single, every single day. But you do it because you build these communities and you speak to those communities in the language that they're used to. And what that gives us is loads of influence and loads of trust in the middle of the funnel. You know, the reason the funnel's up there is because, and for people that don't know, which I'm sure everybody in here does, top of the funnel is all about broad awareness. Bottom of the funnel is about driving action. The middle of the funnel, though, which has been recently termed the missing middle because marketeers so often forget about it, is where so much of that magic happens.
Yeah.
So brand awareness happens at the top. Here's a brand, this is what we stand for. But the middle of the funnel is where you turn that brand awareness into brand love or a brand for me, where you can actually unpack what those values are. You get that authenticity across. And when you work with partners, be that us or others that do it as well as we do, you know, what you end up with is you end up with a sort of actual authentic space where you can talk about these things. Because what you can't do is you can't like not give a shit about your audience, excuse my French, and then and just be like smashing out the hits and then suddenly go on and talk about Sarah Everard. You can't do that. It's incongruous and it doesn't work. And you don't have the authority or the ability or the agility to be able to do that. It feels nasty and wrong. But when you're a really warm radio station that cares about its audience and you have those conversations on the regular, when something like that happens, yes, you can open up your microphone. You can say, I walked through the park this morning on the way to work. I didn't feel scared. I'm a bloke and I've just realised how privileged that makes me and how, you know, and how scary it must be for such a huge part of the population. I've never really considered that to this point until now. And that stuff then resonates, you know.
And your audience expects you to just be completely honest and be like them. So it's like when you were hosting the breakfast show, weren't you, recently, and when the Queen died, and how was that?
It was very intense and weird and scary because you have a job to be able to be completely unbiased and also comforting at the same time for a mass amount of the population who have completely different views, a whole cross-section of how they feel about the monarchy and the Queen, and you want to just be able to connect and make sure everyone's okay. And I think I felt very lucky because I was covering the breakfast show at the time with Perry because Jordan was away, and so it was a bit of an intense moment, but I felt incredibly lucky to be able to connect with people irrelevant of how you feel about the situation that was going on. I think everybody felt odd and weird and like a shift in circumstances. And so to be able to bring some light, and I honestly have been doing the breakfast show for like 2.5 years, and I've never had so many messages from people being like, wow, that was really impactful and it really meant something to hear your voices and hear the kind of, because obviously both me and Perry, I don't know if you know, have listened to the breakfast show, but like it's pretty bonkers. So to have that shift, to still be able to bring that soft kindness in a time that was so deeply bizarre for so many people and very upsetting for a lot of people, it was weird but also wonderful.
And you'll certainly remember that forever, then, won't you?
Yes, I will.
Now, we are coming to the end of our session, and I'm just wondering whether anyone got a reply to their text that they would like to share with us. Did you get one? Did you? My phone's in my bag.
You do this
Guys,
every time.
Lucy Cave does not text you back.
Does not.
Oh, I'll get it in a minute. Where's my?
You sent it to a 5-year-old?
What?
Phone call off the back of my message, 'cause obviously they were
Oh.
Yeah, panic.
Oh, they're panicking.
I could not answer it, so I haven't got a response.
Did anyone else get a text? Yes, lady. What did you say, and what did they say in reply?
I texted my other half to say, I don't say it enough, but I love you.
Oh, babe.
And his response was, have you texted the wrong person?
Yeah.
But also, your husband's got banter.
Yeah.
I love that from
Good
him.
chat.
Yeah.
Did anyone else?
Yes.
I texted somebody that I worked with a while ago, and I said, you're a great person, and I'm glad that I've met you. That's it. She said, oh, I'm so glad to have met you too. Miss you. Need to see you soon.
Oh, that's lovely.
Love
That's
that.
Lovely, isn't that?
That's
Anyone-
a non-suspicious response, which you don't really
It's
get.
really funny. A lot of the responses are very much like, "What is wrong with you?"
Yeah.
Which kind of shows how little we do that, doesn't
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
really? It shows that we need to do it more often. Anyone else, before we wrap up, wants to share?
I got one from Harriet that I'd like to share. She said, "You're a star in the night sky and also the day sky."
Oh.
Did you make that up?
No, that's what he said.
Literally says that.
That is beautiful.
I am a
Lovely.
poet, and I do know it.
If someone got, hang on, there's a hand up. Yes, one more. We've got time for one more.
If we've got time, I text Greg Grimmer, the CEO of Mediatel. This conference is fantastic.
Oh.
And he texted back, thanks, exclamation mark, tell your friend. Which I think was him trying to say friends. but you were trying to say-
No, just the one friend.
Tell
One.
one of your friends.
Or you've just got one friend.
And look, now you've told 50 people.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Thank you very much indeed, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Harriet. Thank you, Chris. And thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Lucie Kay.
I'm going to get my text on.